Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Lacey Sheldon. I am a librarian at McIntosh Memorial Library, and that's in Viroqua, Wisconsin. And today we're hosting a panel of producer farmers and artists for this conversation entitled This is Maiz. And I have the incredible opportunity to introduce Joy Miller. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Lacey. Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here and be a part of this conversation. We are farmers locally here in Wisconsin near Viroqua. We have a 200-acre organic vegetable farm, and last year for the first time we grew some indigenous milling corns for the Dia de los Muertos celebration. And it was just so special to work with the corn, to get people together, to take it off the cob and to make the tamales with it. It was just a really great experience. And it was so different from most of the corn that we see around Wisconsin. It was just so beautiful. And the flavor and everything was just so wonderful. And it really won me over and just made me look at corn differently. So I'm really excited to learn more from Fundación Tortilla and Tortillería Zepeda about their journeys producing corn and bringing that authentic flavor to people in Wisconsin and Mexico.
Yes, well said, Joy. I'm absolutely so thrilled to be here on this call with everybody today. And, you know, Joy, yourself, you're being a farmer and producer, you're so hands-on with everything. And I wanted to let everyone know that Joy also has extra or additional interest and service that she brings to the area. So Joy is the co-founder of Driftless Curiosity along with her husband Rufus Hockey. And in 2018, she had earned her master's in liberal arts from Johns Hopkins University, where she studied environmental ethics, leadership, and food justice. And I think this program is so much about food justice. So we're really excited to hear more from her. And perhaps she'll touch on her graduate research project, which was entitled Socially Responsible Food and Ethical Food Consumerism. Her research inspired her to open Keewaydin Farms, as she mentioned, as a social space and to create unique programs where she can with the land, learn about producing food, and seek better social solutions. She's also a writer and a director and a lifelong lover of things curious. So beautiful. Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much, Joy.
Thank you, Lacey. And yeah, so just to touch really briefly on my research, socially responsible food and ethical food consumerism. A lot of that links back to seeing how the land is used here in Wisconsin, and there is a lot of corn grown, but it is grown with pesticides and GMO corn, and it just really makes me sad when I see so much of our land being used that way. It is my goal to spread the word about saving seeds and farming organically and caring for the land and caring for the seeds with the respect that it deserves. With that, I'll introduce our first guest speaker, Rafael Mier, with Fundación Tortilla, which is out of Mexico City, formed around 2015. They're a nonprofit organization whose intention is to seek to solve the existing problems with corn and contribute to the health of the corn sector in Mexico. And some of the challenges that they are looking at is the drop of consumption in corn, the lack of knowledge about the natural nutrition, the lack of knowledge about the cultural and historical importance, the deterioration of the quality of foods made with corn, health problems related to food, the risk of the traditional corn producers, as well as the loss of biodiversity, insufficient public policy, and food insecurity, which are all just really, devastating issues around the corn crop. So we know that a lot of the corn grown globally is genetically modified, grown with pesticides, and that's been linked to health problems now. So Raphael, could you speak about the importance of saving seeds and growing organically as it relates to your vision of the enhancement of corn as a generator of comprehensive well-being?
Yeah, hello, Joey. Thanks for the introduction, and I am very glad to be here participating in this wonderful chat today. Well, the importance of saving seed is that when you save seeds, you are able to choose and select the best seeds that you have in your field. And then you have a very locally adapted seed. That's the way Mexican people and also American indigenous people has been doing this for thousands of years. It is important to mention that corn is a crop that has been around us for more than 9,000 years. And through all these hundreds of years, the seeds were selected by the farmers, choosing their best ears, and also choosing the survivals, because they are always choosing seeds that have already survived to the conditions of each particular year. As you know, in agriculture, we have good years, we have bad years. Sometimes we have a very good rainy season that it rains in the proper time and in the proper amount of water, of precipitation. And we have some other years that are very harsh and they're very difficult. And the amazing thing about these heirloom seeds, or in Mexico, we call them criollo or native seeds, is that these kinds of seeds are able to adapt to these conditions. And in each year, the farmers are able to adapt and have better capacities of their seeds. They are able to choose the best samples of their seeds. They are choosing the more productive. They are choosing not only for production, but they are also choosing for other characteristics, like, for example, flavor or texture. Like people, like you are interested in a milling corn, you can start selecting for a better milling corn or a better tortilla corn or a parching corn or a popcorn corn. And that's another trait that you can start selecting by. The difference with the seeds that people now buy is that the seeds that we buy in a store from a company that is far away from our farms is that those seeds are adapted to other conditions and they are not really adapted to the conditions of our proper farm. And then they sometimes they don't work so well as our seeds work. So that's one of the main differences, no? And also, and this is closely related to what you mentioned about the use of pesticides. Most of the selection was done in time, in history, against pests and against disease. Because if you're selecting seeds that have already survived in an environment without pesticides, what you are doing is that you are growing and you are selecting for pest resistance. And that's what is amazing about the Mexican farmers and the indigenous people in the United States and in many other countries in America, in the continent America, that they have been doing that for hundreds of years, no? So then you don't have a dependence on purchasing products from a store, and you are really improving the immune system of the actual corn, no? And then you don't need that many products. We need to understand that these companies, the way they operate is to produce money. They are really interested that farmers buy more and more products from them. They want you to buy the seed, they want you to buy the herbicide, the pesticides, they want to buy everything. They want to sell you everything. While the system, the actual system of corn farming was that you were highly self-sufficient, and you were able to don't spend any single dime in purchasing some products, no? So I think that this is a topic that we should start coming back to basics. It would be great that farmers start selecting their own seeds, try to reduce the use of pesticides, and use them just in case it is really needed. And also, but there are so many other different options to conventional pesticides. No, we now have a lot of organic products that could be used. So my recommendation would be that people should start selecting their own heirloom corns, and probably we could talk later on about the difference between heirloom corns and hybrid corns and GMO corns, because there's a big difference among those. But basically the difference is how deeply selected are those seeds, especially when we talk about heirloom and hybrid seeds. Heirloom seeds are seeds that have diversity. Each of the plants, each of the ears are a particular individual. They have their own blood, their own genetic information. And the difference with the hybrid is that the hybrids are completely the same crop, no? But I will leave you to talk with our friends from Tortillería Zepeda, because I am standing probably too much.
No, this is great. I think this is a great conversation to start. And when you were talking about the heirloom seeds having their own individuality and their own genetics, I really noticed that in our cornfield last year. The corn stalks are different heights, and they're different. The stalks look different, and when you look at a GMO field or conventional ag, it's like they're all exactly the same, and that's just not natural. I mean, in nature, everything grows its own way. So it is a little unsettling to see all that corn that's like exactly genetically the same, because there's really a beauty in the diversity. So I had for you, Rafael, is so when corn became so mass produced as a commercial commodity, I think much of the culture surrounding the corn crop was lost. So could you talk about preserving the culture surrounding the maize crop and some of the outreach and education that your organization is doing?
Yeah, I just want to share these images because I have this difference between heirloom corn field and a hybrid corn field, and you can see the difference. Here we have multi-diverse plants. Each of them, they have different heights, they have different corn stalk widths, and they're completely different. And here you can see a hybrid field that they are all the same, no? So I hope it helps to understand this difference, no?
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that image.
Yeah, well, I think it is very important that we start coming back to corn, to the real actual corn. And this is very important, especially for the US, because the US and Canada, they have a long story of corn consumption. More than 4,000 years ago, corn is around the United States, and it has been a food, an important staple food for the American people for a long time. And nowadays, one of the problems is that the American people are not eating this corn. In some time of history, the things twisted, and nowadays the corn that United States is producing is not a food corn. It's not a food. It is not meant to be consumed. It is produced to produce ethanol or fuels. It's meant to feed animals, but it lost its real purpose, that it was to feed people and to feed and provide energy, vitamins, fiber, and all these good things that corn provide to people health, no? So I think that's the main change that we need to start with. The thing is that people need to know that corn is an amazing crop, that they can grow them, and also that they can use it as a food. And that's the main thing. When you treat corn as a commodity, as a merchandise, it's completely different than if you treat a corn as a food source. So the significance of planting corn for your own consumption or for the consumption of your neighbors or your community is completely different of treating it just as a source of income, no? So for me, this is a big difference between the culture of cultivating corn in Mexico and in the US. People in Mexico are growing corn because they want to eat it. They want it to be healthy. They want to be nutritious. And then you treat it different if you are growing corn for one purpose or the other. So I think we need to switch and we need to start changing this way of producing, no?
Right. Zepeda, do you have anything to add to Rafael's comments? I know that in your bio, it talks about when you came to Wisconsin, you saw a lack of the authenticity flavor in the Mexican food that you saw around the Madison area. And you looked around and said, there's so much corn, but there's no corn for tortillas. What's going on? So you guys got started. But yeah, what would your reaction to that be?
Well, yeah, first of all, thanks so much for having us. This is so good to be surrounded of all these amazing people. And yeah, we admire Rafa a lot. He's one of our teachers, so thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We had the opportunity to take a course with Rafa, so good to see you again.
Oh, wonderful.
Professor.
And yeah, like to add it in what Rafa was saying, and I think in the States it's a really, it's hard to find not just tortillas, but more corn products. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, that was, well, still there's like a corn festival in Waterloo?
In Sun Prairie, just
Sun
outside
Prairie.
of Madison. It was like, there's a corn festival. It was it's like 2-day weekends. I was like, Julian, a corn festival, you're gonna love this, because he missed and longed for, corn from Mexico and corn products. So.
Yeah, I was really excited, and I was expecting corn cookies, corn bread, corn ice cream, everything about corn. And then when we got there, that was just corn in a cup, just butter. Yeah, just corn and butter. See what? Everywhere, just corn and butter. No, this is.
Yeah, like
you can make many products with corn.
Yeah, it felt like really deceiving, especially from obviously Julian's background coming from Mexico, where there's this assortment of amazing products, to make with corn, and its cultural significance. So he went there like really optimistic, and it was like truckloads of just corn on the cob and butter, and we were like, wait, what? Where's corn art or something to pay tribute to this amazing grain? And it was a little disappointing. But it also inspired Julian to be like, okay, we can do this festival with the help of everybody on this call, with the Dia de los Muertos event at Kiwani Organics, sort of pays more tribute. So we're glad a real festival of corn and appreciation and love for it is actually happening.
That's
and
wonderful.
just to start this project, that was one, that's a big inspiration to, first of all, to be missing my traditional food and don't have any good alternative here. That was like a good push to start the business, and it's how we start Tortillería Zepeda.
Yeah, I think that, the average Wisconsinite knows sweet corn, the corn on the cob. So yeah, to really dive in. And for me, so I grew up in Wisconsin, born and raised, and through, Julian's experience in my time in Mexico and starting Tortillería Zepeda and learning so much more about the diversity of corn, it's really exciting, and we're really proud and honored we get to be a part of sort of this movement. I think that is really happening, and this education, like Rafa said, that needs to happen. Back to the basics, as to quote Rafa again. Definitely on board with that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm just so happy that there's people in Wisconsin making these amazing tortillas. We definitely buy them every time we go to the co-op. It's like a staple in our weekly routine. And I pitch them to pretty much anybody that eats at our farm. And it's just like people fall in love with them because there is this authentic flavor, I think. And I think, we were really lucky to have you guys come out to the Dia de los Muertos Fest last year and share the nixtamalization process with people. And you guys had just like a crowd of people like circling around you, and they were so interested in this process. And I think it was a really new, unique demo for people that they didn't really know what that was. It was a brand new word. And it's a new way to work with corn. So it was like the opposite. Like usually people in Wisconsin are used to going to see corn on the cob, and then they show up and they're like, wow, what's this other amazing thing to do with corn?
One of our slogans when we first started at Farmers Market, and it seems so ironic, but we would say, we got corn tortillas that actually taste like corn. And, and people would chuckle, but then they immediately would agree with us like, yeah, no, I've never had a corn tortilla that tastes like corn. And we're like, this is what it should taste like. But it's like, the consumers were familiar with the flavor, but never really associated with the tortilla, because unfortunately the ones that they can pick up at the grocery store tastes like cardboard, for lack of.
Yeah, really so unbelievable to see what you can find in the groceries, and it's just like terrible. You just walk in the aisle and you smell the chemicals in the bags, and it's really bad. That's not how a tortilla is supposed to be.
Right. Yeah. I see we have a question from the audience here. Andrea asked, what has been the most challenging thing while making tortillas in the US?
Well, I think one of my many mistakes, it was like I was trying to adapt exactly the same system I've been learning in Mexico, and it's so different because the temperature is totally different than where I'm from.
It's snowing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to adapt like a different the temperatures and all the process has to be different. I can't do the same thing that I would do in Mexico. So that was one of my first challenge, and also like using the equipment, because we need to be experts of everything. That's nobody else to help us, to fix the equipment or something is broken. We have to maintain the equipment working correctly. And yeah, I think that's a big challenge.
Yeah, like Julian said. So, and it's customary in the US, they have like knife sharpeners that will come to restaurants and take their knives and sharpen them. So in Mexico, there's a profession called picador de piedras. So somebody goes along to tortillerías and they'll recarve and redefine your grinding stones. So that is a profession that we couldn't find in rural Wisconsin. So that was a big hurdle. And so Julian had to learn how to be the picador de piedras. We had to learn how to be our own sort of technicians on our equipment, because we couldn't just call up, the next tortilla up the road and be like, what do you guys do?
Yeah,
because
some tortillerías have actually like a different grinders, it's one like a molinero, tortillero, picador de piedra, and they're like different professions. And yeah, we cannot try to like just do a little like everything,
Yeah, so it was like, okay, we're not just making tortillas, but we have to wear a lot of hats. And I think to add to this question, I think it was, the struggles of having making tortillas in the US. and this is kind of part of the education piece, is to really get consumers to familiarize themselves with eating a tortilla as sort of a staple. You know, there's this misconception of like, well, like we would have consumers when we would sell at farmers market, you know, say, oh, well, I'm not making Mexican food this week, so I'm not going to eat it. And we're like, oh, there's
It's
so
not
much.
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, it's not Taco Tuesday. We would joke with them and be like, you know, you can eat so many more food with tortillas. You know, typical American diet will eat bread with almost every meal. Replace that with a tortilla, and just to get them out of the mindset that like it's just a taco. I'm not eating tacos, and how diverse the tortilla is. And can substitute in so many meals. I mean, and so that's, you know, been a part of our sort of education.
And also making understand how different is between a good tortilla just using 3 ingredients, just water, pickle and lime, and corn, and compare with an industrialized tortilla with like hundreds of ingredients, you know, and it's 2 different categories, and that's other of our goals, you know, like educate people to show the difference between the different tortillas.
Yeah, right. So you not only have to be producers, but technicians, educators, and taste testers, sort of like getting people to try your product.
And we love it. So much fun.
Another question here coming in. Did you bring your equipment from Mexico or buy it from Mexico?
Yep, from Guadalajara.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And so Julian went down to the different manufacturers of tortillas. It wasn't just like we, you know, purchased online. He went and got, you know, tours of some of these facilities down in Mexico. He really understood the difference between some of the machines, and the one he selected is a more of an artisanal one that mimics a handmade tortilla better than some of the other, you know, sort of conveyor belt style machines. So that was also really important to us. You know, not only is it an artisanal product because, you know, the nixtamalization process, but also the equipment that Julian selected based on those qualifications.
Yeah, I think all of that goes into that authentic flavor, and it's just so great that you guys put so much thought and mindfulness into your business. I had a question about there's part of your bio is that Julian went down to Mexico City and Guadalajara and worked with tortilleros in some of the best leading tortilleros in the country. And they taught you about the what is that?
In the world.
Oh, in the world, yes. And they taught you about the pre-Hispanic nixtamalization process. Could you share a little bit about what you learned and that experience?
Absolutely. Yeah, when we started the project almost 4 years ago, I think, I've been really working next to one of the best tortilleros, including Rafa. He's been great part of our business. He's really helpful. And yeah, I try to go every year and learn different techniques, you know, and share also knowledge, you know. Sometimes they ask me things and they might learn a lot of things from them. And everybody have like a different, there's some tortillero master who use different techniques that they nixtamalize different ways. They have different ratios of a lime addition, and it's so diverse. And then I like to be like a scholar, and I like to keep learning. And that's one of our, I think what makes things different from our business is we keep learning and we never stop learning. And we always find somebody who knows different techniques and they can share their knowledge. And yeah, I went to like Puyol, Tortilla, Molino Puyol with Chef Lily. She's always amazing. Cali Maiz, they're also really great, and they always share all their knowledge. And yeah, they're the professionals, and we want to learn from the best.
Yeah, and it's exciting because this, you know, this movement of going back to the nixtamalization process for tortillas is a movement that we're seeing. And not only has Julian made some amazing connections in a community in Mexico that show him, but even, you know, a little bit internationally, just connecting with some folks from online from Australia, Germany, and we're all just kind of, you know, cheering each other on. And really making sure this has a global presence of back to the nixtamalization.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'll pose this next question to both of the producers is, how can how can we as consumers support producers and support the authenticity of this crop and products with corn? How can we support this movement that you guys are seeing?
Okay, well, you have listened about the great job like our friends are doing in tortilla making and in many other products. I think one of the ways that people could really help is to consume the good products, the real authentic products. And with that, they are going to help the farmers to keep on producing and keep on protecting our heirloom varieties. If we don't consume the heirloom varieties, all these old seeds, they are going to disappear and they will become endangered. And of course, this is not just a thing that needs to be done because of the preservation of seeds. It needs to be done because of the cultural significance it has, and also because of the benefits it gives to your health. And I think it's very important to stress the difference in the nutritional level of tortillas. As our friends from Tortillería Zepeda were telling, the difference nutritionally between the real actual tortilla that you can get with Zepeda and the tortilla that you can get from the Walmart is amazingly big. In fact, the tortillas that are being sold now in the United States, they should be considered an imitation. And there's a standard, and there are some acts in the US that they differentiate the kinds of products. And when you have a product that has a significant reduction in nutritional value, it needs to be called an imitation. And the problem is that in the United States, they haven't done that for tortillas that are sold in the supermarkets, but that's something that needs to be made. Tortillas with the nixtamalization process, I think probably it's important to mention this part, is that when you nixtamalize corn, the nixtamalization is to cook corn with pickling lime, or this calcium hydroxide is a stone that is burnt and it's converted in calcium. This calcium source changes the chemical structure of corn, and it drives out all the nutrients. When we just boil the corn, it doesn't develop all these nutrients, and they are not so available for the people. So when we cook the corn with the nixtamal, we have a significant availability of vitamin B and iron and phosphorus, and also we have a big calcium addition. And this is very important because, especially, for example, in Mexico, the tortilla is the most important and staple food. The tortilla is the main source of calcium of Mexican people. So then the bones of all the Mexican peoples are constructed with the calcium of the tortilla. And the tortilla that we found in the supermarkets, it has just 1/5 of the calcium that you can find in a real tortilla. All these tortilla, we call them junk tortillas because they're really junk food. They don't have fiber. They extract the fibers. They bleach them many times in order to be purely white. And then they bleach them. They take the fibers out. So it is like ultra refined product. And then it is not giving us any nutritional value, or just a little bit of nutrition. So how you can help? Buying a good tortilla. And this is not just for the farmers, it's just for you. It's for your health, it's for your family's health. No? And of course, for the American people, it's important to learn about how to eat tortillas, and this is a cultural thing, but we would love people understanding and learning how to eat this amazing food. It has been a food for hundreds of years in Mexico. We have fed so many generations of healthy Mexican people, happy Mexican people, eating tacos, eating chilaquiles, eating nachos, totopos. And that's something that could be done in the United States, no? And the thing is that the United States is a great producer of corn. But the only thing that they get wrong is that they are producing corn that it is not a food. No?
Kind of a mean thing.
So one of the best things is to tell these people out there that corn is meant to be a food, not a merchandise, no?
Yes.
And then probably we would change a lot of things in the US if we could do that.
I think so too. And Zepeda, did you?
Well, echoing, I think everything Rafa said, but I think, kind of like a standard where, with just food in general is really as consumers demanding to know where your food comes from, like understanding their ingredients and really, we want to spread the good word of nixtamalization. Part of our company's mission is familiarize the public with that term. And it is exciting, even in our own city, to see some other, tortillerias or restaurants embracing the nixtamalization process. Because like Rafa said, it's such a key part of, the nutrition and of making, making the corn and making the masa, and just paying tribute to this beautiful ancient tradition that has unfortunately been lost with industrialization, but going back to it and what we can do. So, I think the more we can tell our friends and family and quiz them on the term nixtamalization and understand it, embrace it and love it is gonna help. And purchasing, food products from us.
Yeah, and I think it's also really important to consume local, also support farmers and support the seeds. We're using the same seed than the Native American were cultivating, and I think it's really important to maintain the same process also, the nixtamalization, which is a pre-Hispanic method than the Aztecs, the Mayas, they were using over 1,000 years ago. And I think it's really important to understand the history and also know where you're eating, read the ingredient list, and know that artificial gum is not good for you, maltodextrosa, and all those weird words. They're weird ingredients that you don't supposed to be eating. They're not good for you. And I think it's really important to understand where you're eating and be a little more worry about it.
Yeah. It reminds me of Michael Pollan has a quote or a comment in one of his books that if your grandmother couldn't recognize the ingredients, then you shouldn't eat it.
Like we say in Mexico, lo barato sale caro. Sometimes it will be bad for your health.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In the long run, for sure. It's that investment, and it is sometimes a little bit of a challenge with some of our consumers for them to really understand why they're paying more for our tortilla. And, maybe this kind of goes along with the one question posed of one of the struggles of selling tortillas in the US. Our dozen pack of tortillas retail for $4, and you can get cheaper stuff for 75 cents. 75 cents is 4 times as much. So really, that's why education piece is really important. And we've even in our local community, because there is such a movement to support also local farmers, and we remind people you're supporting your neighbors, because our mission, which is part of our logo too, is we just purchase the corn from our farmers, from our land, and that's what the cultures did in Mesoamerica thousands of years ago, is using the corn of the land. We don't feel like we don't need to import corn from Mexico. The heirloom organic varieties should stay, we really believe, for the peoples of that community, because we're fortunate to be in the Driftless area where there's so many organic farmers, and we should be consuming the corn and the food of the lands of where we live.
Yes, that's so important. And you know, it has a ripple effect too of like just less greenhouse gas emissions, less, you know, less of a environmental impact when you're not shipping corn from long distances. And it's just beautiful to eat locally too. So I had one more question for Zepeda is what is the cultural significance of connecting customers with that authentic maize flavor? And what's some of the feedback that you guys have gotten because you are producing such a unique product?
Well, yeah, I think we sort of touched, you know, a little bit on it with, so, you know, corn tortillas that actually taste like corn. You know, I got to even go through sort of a nostalgic food journey through Julian and through, you know, him, you know, tasting art like tortillas when he first made it at home in our little apartment where he had to like hand grind his own corn just to have that nostalgic feeling. And he could even just with me share with me of like, Heidi, this is what it should taste like. And like what we've mentioned earlier in this conversation, for what, you know, thousands of years, the peoples of the Americas have cultivated this corn, hand selected them to be what it is. So by embracing that flavor, I feel like we're really, you know, paying tribute to those peoples of thousands of years that have done an incredible job of cultivating this amazing grain. And so if, you know, if we through our product can share that and pay tribute, yeah, we think we're honoring, you know, the peoples, and also just to have people to have a more Mexican experience of food, you know, up here in Wisconsin that Julian gets to share with our community through.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I think one of the amazing things is like once people try it and then they really taste an authentic tortilla, you don't want to go back. You don't go back to that junk tortilla because you're ruined for all junk tortillas for all time after you have a real authentic.
Yeah, there is always some emotional connection with food, you know, brings memories. When you every time when we have the fresh tortilla and we're eating, I just have like memories when I was a kid, like playing arcade while my mom was waiting for me. I was in a tortilla line, you know, and like I think it's something magical the food do for you, you know, bring you all that like a great collection of memories you have. And we have a product who tastes just like tortillas from Mexico. And when we have a customer from like southern states like Texas and Arizona, and they try it, so wow, yeah, this just tastes really like a Mexican tortilla. Or people who have traveled to Mexico and they also understand and they get that. And we have like a lot of like really beautiful comments about bringing that joy to some of our customers. And I think it's really good to close the circle of like production and see the ending consumer be so like happy, and then sharing pictures. And that's when they bring like like we know that this is important not just for us but for the community.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories, one of our customers who's a Mexican American, she's like, your tortillas literally brought me to tears. It reminded me of my grandma's cooking in Mexico. And she would joke, she's like, sometimes I would just like open your tortillas and I would just smell them. And my husband would find me in the closet just like smelling this. And yeah, and then we had this other woman, Colombian American woman who lives in Chicago, which is quite a vast Latino community there, but she had the opportunity to work with some of our masa to make some tamales. And she told their son, she's like, I had no idea we could get masa like this in the US, you know, and she had a nostalgic, emotional feeling. So that's been so special. Like Julian mentioned, to like people go on these journeys where they get emotional just by tasting our product. And that's really special.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful thing. You guys really are taking people on a journey of memory and nostalgia and taking them back to their home and family feelings. It's just a really, really wonderful connection that you're making through food. And as you said, there is this kind of turn back to people wanting to know where their food came from. We've gone so far on the spectrum of the direction of chemicals and mass production and commodities that I think now we are sort of starting to turn back to the simple foods, like Rafael was saying in the beginning. Go back to the simple ways that our ancestors had before all of the commercialization of the crop. So, do we have any questions from the audience right now, Lacey or Gabriela or Norma?
Yes, Joy. I would like to ask Rafa if it is possible to think about the denomination of origin for the Mexican artisan tortilla, like other Mexican products in the international market.
Okay. Hello, Norma. Well, denomination of origin is usually used when you have a problem between two geographic areas, no? Like one geographic area has been working with one particular food for so many times, and then the other state or the other region wants to start doing this, which wasn't its cultural way of doing things. And this is not really the problem that we are facing in tortilla. The problem we are facing is that industrialization is putting so many additives, preservatives, and then they are changing the actual formulation of tortilla, and then they are damaging their nutritional value. So then we need to find other kinds of mechanisms. Like here in Mexico, we are working now with the tortilla standard. We have in Mexico what we call normas. That's the way we call the standards in Mexico. There's a norma for tortilla. And we as Fundación Tortilla and many other friends and organizations in Mexico, we are pushing changes in this tortilla standard in order that tortilla could be differentiated between the different kinds of ingredients that it has. So we will have now nixtamalized corn tortilla, and we will also have a denomination for this nixtamalized flour. So for the first time in many years in Mexico, we will have a differentiation and people would be able to choose the difference between one and the other. There's also some chapters of this standard that would be mentioning all these additives and preservatives. We are promoting clear and transparent information to the consumer. We are also adding a part in which you could talk about, you could disclaim the kind of corn that you are using, and this is something that has never been done in Mexico. Tortillas were always generalized with corns, but if you can see here this poster, we have a big diversity of corn in Mexico, and tortillas are made with many different corns. And from now on, people would be able to disclaim or to inform what kind of corn they are using, and if it is a native corn or if it's a hybrid corn or if it's a GMO corn, no? But this is something that we are trying to do. We have very good news because we have been able to work on this for more than 3 years. We have been working in this project, and it has already been published in the federal newspaper. That is the way this start going through. Now we are in a public, I don't know how you can call this, but the people, the society could read the standard and they could give comments. We are now in a
consultation kind of, yeah.
Oh, sorry?
Public consultation.
Exactly, public consultation period, no? Or stage. And now we have until the 15th of April 15 to receive all these comments. And we need to attend all these comments in a group. And probably we will have this standard for in October, November, it would be the standard for the Mexico, no? And this standard could be something that the United States could take as a I don't know,
Example, yeah.
as example, no, and that's important because then the standards in the world, they're always looking for other countries that start standards, and then when you have a standard in a country, and for example in tortilla, Mexico should be the country that start with the standards, and then this standard could be started to be copied or adapted to the local countries, no? So I think this is very important, and that's the way we're trying to make a differentiation in corn, tortillas, and we really want this to be taken to the United States. The United States is starting to eat a lot of tortillas, while in Mexico we have the problem that people are starting to drop their consumption in tortillas. In the United States, people are loving tortillas, they are loving guacamole, they are loving salsas, and all these foods in the United States are having a strong consumption. But the problem is that you are not getting the real product. You are not getting the good things, and that's why also we don't think that a denomination is the proper mechanism, because we want to share tortillas with the world. We want tortillas are free. Tortillas are a common knowledge. It's a cultural heritage to be shared with the people. We believe in sharing, not in constricting. No, we want people to eat tortillas, but we want them to have good, real, nutritional, tasty, flavorful, wonderful tortillas like our friends from Zepeda are doing, no?
Yes.
I want to say something. Thank you, Rafa.
Yes, Laura.
Thank you, Heidi, Julian, for being here and to accept this invitation. And I was like, before the conversation started, I was telling Joy and Lacey that something that I really miss from Mexico is like in every corner, mainly, we have a tortilleria. So I want to say thank you to Tortillería Zepeda for making this possible, and at least having you here in the area. That's great. And it was like, as you say, like it was a memory when I discovered this masa at the co-op, and I say, yeah, I can do some sopes that I miss it, no? So thank you very much for all your work. I don't know if you want to share something about a workshop that you are doing. I saw that in your website you have a next workshop that you are going to do, Rafa, in Fundación Tortilla, and also Tortillería Zepeda is planning some tejuino classes. Could you share something with the public?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for the invitation, Gabriela. And yeah, we have a website. First of all, we invite you to come to our website. Unfortunately, all the content is in Spanish, but that would be a good way to learn Spanish and learn about corn. We would love to start translating some of our content to English. Probably we could do that in a couple of months. We give some workshops as well. We have a corn introduction course that it is in 4 classes. And we give this course every month. We give it in Spanish, and it's a virtual mode, so you can attend it from the US. But it is instructed in Spanish, no? And yeah, and then visit our websites. You could find us as Fundación Tortilla in all the social media, and also you can visit our website. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. What's your website, Rafa?
Sorry, is Fundación Tortilla. I will write it in the chat if you want.
Perfect.
.org.
Thank you.
And Zepeda, did you want to share about your upcoming events?
Yeah, well, we did have this great class. Julian taught on how to make atole and tejuino. Unfortunately, that class we're kind of done for the season. There was going to be one in next week, but that unfortunately got canceled. Sort of lack of participation there. However, we do love sharing our story and our tortilleria, and we're really, you know, part of our mission is being transparent. So we love to host tours. We'll probably get something a little more structural and formal on our website in the next month or so, but please reach out if you want to put together a group of 5 or more. We'll make you some atole. Come to our facility, try our products, and then also we're hoping to do another atole tejuino class, but perhaps at our tortilleria. So I think on our social media, following us there, you'll get more.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you so much for having us. And well, if you haven't see what Rafa and Fundación Tortilla are doing, they do an amazing job. They work super hard. They sharing videos almost every day. I'm a big fan of their work. Yeah, this is we're really happy to be part of this panel.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your knowledge, and thank you for doing all the advocacy that you're doing in your separate communities. And Zepeda, thank you for providing tortillas to the Wisconsin area. I know there's a bunch of people on the call that are super happy about that. And just thank you for your time today. Absolutely. Give it back to Lacey.
Yes, this has been such a wonderful conversation. Thank you everyone so much who has come into the Zoom meeting and who has been following us on the Facebook Live feed as well. I can say that as a librarian, I am a lover of words, and to learn about the ancient tradition of nixtamalization is really incredible. And I just love that word, nixtamalization. It really zings, and I think it's an incredible movement to get behind. Thank you. I wanted to remind everybody that we've been hearing from Rafael Mier from Fundación Tortilla, based in Mexico City, and our 2 friends joining us from Tortillería Zepeda, based in Southwest Wisconsin, with their products sold locally in the Driftless area. Again, thank you, Joy Miller from Driftless Curiosity and corn producer at Keewaydon Farms for hosting that part of it. This program is a 2-part program. We are finishing with the first part now, moving into our second part in 30 minutes, where we will be hearing from the Mexican folk art collective artists, those that really use corn as their form of art. A big thank you to the staff from Consulado de Mexico in Milwaukee for joining us today as well. And with that, we will pause the recording and take our break and be back in 30 minutes. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
¿Qué tal? Bienvenidos a todos. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We are hosting the second part of our event. It is called This is Maiz. Estamos en la segunda parte de este evento virtual que se llama Esto es Maíz. And well, we are going to talk with some artists. En la primera parte hablamos con algunos productores del maíz. Ahora vamos a hablar con artistas que utilizan el maíz o alguno de sus elementos en su proceso creativo. And in the first part, we spoke with some producers of maíz in Mexico and Wisconsin. So thank you everyone for joining us. Me gustaría primero pues comentarles a todos quienes están aquí con nosotros un par de datos interesantes sobre el maíz. I would like to share with you an interesting information about the maíz. En México, el maíz es uno de los alimentos más importantes y al momento los expertos dicen que existen 220 diferentes tipos de maíz en América Latina, de los cuales aproximadamente 64 son nativos de México. Some experts say that in the American continent, there is 220 different types of corn, but 64 are native of Mexico. So As you can see, maize is a very important element of the cultural development and social development or rural communities in Mexico. Y ahorita vamos a hablar de la importancia que el maíz tiene en el desarrollo cultural y social de las comunidades donde se produce. Me gustaría presentarles a continuación a Gabriela Marván de Folk Art Collective, quien va a presentar a nuestros invitados de esta mañana. I would like to introduce Gabriela Marván, that she's going to present our artistas that will have joined us today. Thank you very much, Gabi.
Gracias, Norma. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm very happy to share again with you this conversation. As you know, we are the Mexican Folk Art Collective. And well, in the first conversation, we could hear about the producers and the importance of preserving the native seeds. So this is something that inspires some of the artists of the collective. And this is why we are here this day. And I'm also pleased to present first Yesica Coria, to present her again. She is part of the Mexican Folk Art Collective. And then we're going to see Julieta Zavala. She is new at the Mexican Folk Art Collective. So welcome, Julieta, officially to the Folk Art Collective. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Bravo. And well, she's a fashion designer living in Philadelphia, but as well, she's Mexican. And finally, Alejandro Lira, that, well, he has been part of the Hispanic Heritage Month. He participated in the Hispanic Heritage Month last year with us, and officially today as well, we are welcoming Alejandro to the Mexican Folk Art Collective. Yeah, thank you. Let's start then with Yesica Coria. We know her. She's a very talented woman and very entrepreneur woman. She has her own business in Milwaukee. She does figures with totomostle or the hoja de maíz. Voy a hablar un poquito en español. We are going to translate this talk. The artists are going to talk in Spanish, so we are going to translate simultaneously. So I will be also translating, and Andrea will help me with the translation of Alejandro. Bienvenidos a todos. De nueva cuenta, estas son las charlas de Mexican Folk Art Collective. Estamos muy contentos de hacer esta colaboración con la Biblioteca de Viroqua, con Driftless Curiosity, el Consulado de México en Milwaukee. Gracias por estar aquí, a los artistas que oficialmente se incorporan al Mexican Folk Art Collective, Alejandro, Julieta, y por supuesto nuevamente gracias a Yesica Coria, que forma parte del colectivo desde el año pasado. Bienvenidos nuevamente y bueno, vamos a iniciar esta charla. Los artistas van a hablar en español, vamos a ir traduciendo simultáneamente y va a ser más que nada una charla para saber cómo ellos llegaron a trabajar con el maíz en el arte que ellos realicen. Entonces, Jessie, bienvenida. Yo creo que ya la piqué anda por ahí, déjame, ya está listo tu micrófono. Jessie, platícanos cuál es el recuerdo que más te llenó como de memoria en tu infancia o durante tu vida para trabajar el maíz y cómo empezaste a trabajar el maíz en tu arte.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Yesica, ya conozco a algunos que están por aquí, hola. Soy de Veracruz, estudié artes plásticas en la Universidad de Veracruz. En Jalapa, de donde soy yo, hacen pues lo que son las ferias del libro, y en las ferias del libro es donde llevan clases para pues para enseñar, aparte de la feria, pues hacen pequeños como clases. Y en una de ellas estaban enseñando cómo hacer flores con hoja de maíz. Entonces, me apunté a la clase para aprender. Y pues solo tomé una clase que se dio en ese momento y nos enseñaron a teñir la hoja y hacer un girasol. Pues eso fue hace muchos años. Y hace 15 años que estoy aquí en Milwaukee y sentía como la necesidad de hacer algo, de crear algo, porque no podía quedarme quieta, ¿verdad? Entonces, no sé, empecé a hacer flores otra vez y alguien me decía, ¿quieres que pare, Gaby, para que traduzcas?
Sí, sí, por favor. Well,
Okay.
I'm going to translate what Jessie said. She said she is Yesica Coria. She's from Veracruz, Jalapa. And in her hometown, they were like organizing like book fest. And in those places is where they were like giving those workshops about corn husk. So she was interested to learn how to do it. So that's how she started to learn how to do flowers with corn husk. Ok, gracias, Jessie.
Okay. Entonces, cuando me muevo aquí, comienzo a trabajar con la hoja de maíz y alguien me incita para que empiece a hacer muñecas como las que se hacen en Guadalajara, ya que él era de Guadalajara. Y empiezo a hacer muñecas. La verdad, mi primer muñeca estaba muy horrible. Pero la práctica me llevó eventualmente a mejorarlas y a crear más cosas. En realidad, no me ha enseñado nadie, he visto videos y he creado mi propio contenido en YouTube de cómo hacer cosas de hoja de maíz porque no encontré nada, así que eso es lo que he venido haciendo, creando contenido y haciendo mis manualidades.
Okay, gracias, Jessie. So when I start to do the corn husks, I also start doing dolls, like the one that you see in the screen. And the truth is that my first doll was ugly, but I continue practicing and doing more of these dolls. And now I have, I share my content and my art in the social media, and I continue doing this art. Gracias, Jessie. Ok. Ajá. ¿Quieres agregar algo más? ¿Quieres mostrarnos las piezas que tenías ahí?
No, pues yo he venido haciendo contenido y hago flores, pues hago flores que no soy una experta porque obvio las personas que se dedican a esto en México pues hacen flores hermosas. Tuve la oportunidad de contactar a algunas que otras personas de México debido a que me han visto en redes sociales, me contactan y pues hemos platicado, me han enseñado algunas técnicas que ellos utilizan para corrugar la hoja que yo no sabía que existía. Hay planchas que también te hacen texturas y hay muchas cosas que yo no sé, que yo he aprendido con el paso del tiempo de la práctica y algunas cosas que se me ocurre hacer. Entonces, eso es lo que he venido haciendo en este tiempo y a esto me dedico ahora. No soy una experta porque luego me creo kits para niños porque creo que es importante que las nuevas generaciones sigan en contacto con lo que fue nuestra tradición y trato de hacer cosas que ellos puedan tocar, ver y y de cierta forma hacerla suya, su propio estilo, su propia forma. Entonces, esta es la forma como yo trato de envolver a las nuevas generaciones.
Hay un audio. Sí, les pido si pueden poner en mute su micrófono para que podamos escuchar bien a Jessie. Gracias, Jessie. So I'm going to translate what she has saying. Well, I do like flowers and I do another different things, but I'm not an expert. I'm self-taught, and I have been learning from the artists that did this from my hometown and other people that are like have worked with this forever. So I have learned from there. I didn't know that there were exist some items that I can use on the working with corn husk. So I did like, ¿puedes mostrar las piezas? I have done like these pieces, like using also as well corn husk. I have done these kits for kids. So some important thing for me is to pass this through the new generations. So I've done these kits with dolls, and they can learn about this technique and like feeling the corn husk, starting with this tradition. So that's what is important to me, and I have learned. I'm not an expert, but I'm still learning from the other traditional techniques that the people does in my hometown. Gracias, Jessie. No sé si quiere agregar algo Julieta o Alejandro. ¿Cuál es su mejor recuerdo de su infancia con el maíz? ¿Quieren agregar algo?
Yo nada más quisiera, igual a ver si algún día se da que hiciéramos una colaboración, porque sí me encantó lo que estás haciendo y pues estaría muy padre también hacer algo juntas.
Sí, claro, yo estoy abierta a enseñar, más que nada porque me gusta, porque creo que es importante y como digo, no soy una experta, pero la verdad sí me gusta enseñar y aprender de los demás, entonces, claro.
Julieta asked Jessie that could be amazing to make a collaboration with Julieta and Jessie, and she said, of course, I'm open to do it, and I love to learn. I'm still learning, but I'm happy to share what I know. Tenemos una pregunta de...
I would like to say, Gabi, even when Yesica said that she's not an expert, she got talent. So I will invite everyone to follow her Facebook page that she will let us know the name, and find her in some fairs in Milwaukee and then surrounding areas across Wisconsin, where you can buy some crafts and arts from Mexico, some made by her own hands. They are beautiful dolls, but not only that. So I invite you everyone to come. Aunque Yesica dice que es una experta, me consta que Yesica tiene talento. Invito a todos los que nos están viendo que la busquen en su página de Facebook y la sigan, porque ella se presenta en ferias de artesanías en todo el estado de Wisconsin, donde pueden adquirir sus piezas y otras piezas de otros artistas mexicanos, blusas, muñecas, carteras, bolsas. Así que, pues, gracias por este comercial.
Gracias, Norma. No, en efecto, yo cuando vi el trabajo de Jessie, dije, Jessie, tienes que estar adentro del colectivo. Aparte de que es una mujer emprendedora, o sea, tu arte es genial, y el trabajo que hace para las nuevas generaciones, ¿no? Pasar esta técnica a los niños, y los talleres que has hecho en el Museo de Arte. Yo creo que eres muy humilde para aceptar que tienes mucho talento. Jessy, tienes demasiado talento y bueno, sí, síganla ahí. En el chat está su Instagram, Coria Graphics Arts, y también va a estar en el Día de Muertos de Driftless Curiosity. Gracias. Pasamos entonces con Julieta. Julieta, we'll start with your question. Julieta es una diseñadora de modas. La conocí en México. Ya estando aquí, pudimos ir a las jornadas culturales que organiza el IME y el Consulado de México. Y nos conocimos en México. Cuando vi su trabajo, me sorprendió mucho y sobre todo porque ella tiene una colección de vestidos de Catrinas. Y bueno, ella nos va a platicar un poquito más de eso. Platícanos, Julieta, ¿qué te inspiró para escoger el maíz como materia prima?
Bueno, pues primero que nada, muchas gracias por invitarme. Pues estoy muy feliz de conocerte a ti y que me hayas dado la oportunidad de estar en Folk Art. Y pues, bueno, pues mi inspiración proviene de una conversación que tuve con una amiga que es diseñadora de coronas y artista de maquillaje. Ella y yo ya hemos hecho Catrinas juntas en otros años y este año pues estábamos compartiendo ideas de qué podemos hacer, cómo podemos colaborar. Y entonces ella me mostró un Instagram de un artista de Oaxaca que se llama Roberto Jiménez. Y pues yo instantáneamente me enamoré de su trabajo. ¿Quieres que pare para traducir?
Sí, gracias, Julieta. Well, thank you for this invitation for being here, Julieta said. The inspiration of my work using corn husks is because I was talking with a friend of mine and she was telling me about one artist, Roberto Jimenez. So I went through his Instagram and I felt inspired by his work. Gracias, Julieta.
Ok, y entonces, pues de ahí mi amiga Ada Reyes, o mejor conocida como Dayesla Itzli en Instagram, empezamos pues a trabajar en eso, ¿no? Ella hizo la corona y ¿cómo se llama el palito? No me acuerdo.
Sí.
No sé cómo se llamaría. Pero hizo eso y yo hice lo que es el vestido. La verdad no tenía una idea cómo trabajar con la hoja de maíz. Entonces lo que hice pues hice primero con la base con manta y esta tela que se usa en tapicería. Cuando vi esa tela me recordó la parte de arriba del maíz que se llama, creo que espiga, que tiene unos diseños muy como geométricos. Entonces utilicé esa tela que es para tapizar en esta parte del cuello, las mangas y en la parte de abajo del vestido.
Ok, déjame traducirte.
Sí.
So I wanted to make a collaboration with my friend Ada Reyes. Puedes poner su Instagram también en el chat. Julieta is gonna put her Instagram in the chat. So her friend did ella hizo el tocado, ¿verdad? Del cabello, ¿me dices? She did the headdress and the stick that the model is holding, and I did the dress. And I was inspired, for example, in the part of the neck, under the neck, you can see that the form that I use is more geometric. So I was inspired by the form of the corn plant, of the corn cane. So I use under the corn husk a fabric to hold it, the corn husk. I didn't know how to work with corn husk, so I had to learn how to do it. So that was a challenge that it was interesting for me and something fun to do. Gracias, Julieta.
Gracias.
Ok, Alejandro, ¿quieres comentar, no sé, algo sobre el trabajo de Julieta o a lo mejor agregar qué te inspiró a ti para escoger el maíz como materia prima? Alex.
Hola, muchas gracias. Sí, el primer recuerdo que tengo de niño del maíz es el pinole. El sabor y el aroma, que ahora que lo recuerdo es como una especie de caricia, como de caricia de mamá, un abrazo. A partir de ahí recuerdo a mi padre utilizando, descubriendo, experimentando el maíz en todas sus formas, en la que él hacía sus alfombras. Entonces, desde muy niño, para mí fue algo normal tener semillas, mazorcas en la casa y después tener las palomitas que salían de las mazorcas volando un poquito en cierta época del año. Y esa experiencia, pues, ahora que lo pienso, es determinante para percibir y abordar creativamente el trabajo que hago.
Gracias, Alex. Déjame traducirte. Well, Alejandro said that for him, the first experience that he remembers from his childhood is the pinole. Pinole is, ¿cómo describirías el pinole, Alejandro? ¿Cómo?
Es el maíz triturado, hecho polvo, con un poco de azúcar y con el cual preparan el atole.
Sí, the pinole is like a dust, like powder of corn, and it's prepared with sugar, and it's good for make like sweet beverage. So his first remembering what is the pinole that he tasted on his childhood, and it was part of his life still. And that reminds him more like a feeling about the caries of his mom. And also that remembers makes remind him to his father, how his father started experimenting with the material, with the corn material, and how he started to do those monumental carpets. So his father also was an artist, and you can see in that image how his father is Maestro Pepe Lira, that we can see in the photo, and how they feel like the feeling also popcorns getting from those seeds. It's a very good memory of Alejandro's childhood. Ok, Alex, muchas gracias por incorporarte a esta plática también. Y tenemos una pregunta para ti. ¿Cómo se relaciona el arte popular con la preservación del maíz, de la semilla original en México?
Bueno,
O sea, ¿cómo el uso del maíz en el arte, el que realizas, puede ayudar o puede colaborar a la preservación del maíz?
Bueno, cuando hablamos de maíz, hay que pensarlo como un sistema, no solamente como una semilla. Un sistema de supervivencia de nuestras culturas ancestrales y que ha llegado hasta nuestros días como un gesto de preservar nuestra cultura, nuestro entorno. ese maíz, ese sistema está conectado a su vez con la naturaleza, está conectado con la ciudad, está conectado con nuestra forma de vivir. En consecuencia, lo más lógico para nosotros es hacer obras a partir del mismo maíz. Mi padre decía, yo voy a hacer alfombras con el mismo material que nos da Dios y la Virgen para poder vivir, es decir, lo que obtenemos del campo. Y yo creo que esa es una conexión muy importante en nuestra cultura. Utilizar el maíz nos permite, de alguna manera, considerar ese sistema en el que vivimos, ese sistema de supervivencia como algo aún trascendental e importante en nuestras vidas.
Gracias, Alex. Voy a presentar a Andrea. Andrea se incorpora también como editora del colectivo. I'm going to introduce Andrea. Andrea Muñiz is now the editor of the collective, and she's going to be translating you. Bienvenida, Andrea.
Gracias, Gaby. I'm going to try to translate Alejandro's response. So the question was, how folk art is related to the preservation of maize as native seed of Mexico? And he responded, when we talk about corn, we have to think of a system, not only as a seed, a system of survival of our ancestral cultures, and that had reached out days of preserving the culture and environment. It is connected to nature, the cities, and different ways of living. The most logical thing is to make like works of the same corn. Alejandro shared that his father used to say, I'm going to make carpets with the corn that the Virgin and God give us. And using corn allows us to consider the system we live as something transcendental.
Gracias, Alex. ¿Quieres platicarnos, continuar con este tema? Que está súper interesante.
Sí, en consecuencia, nosotros somos alfombristas. ¿Qué significa el alfombrismo? Es un arte efímero colectivo en el cual transformamos la naturaleza de nuestro entorno en algo artístico. Y en este caso, nosotros colectivamente, a través de la dirección de un maestro alfombrista, como lo fue mi padre, y ahora tengo la fortuna de serlo yo, nos damos la tarea de guiar a una comunidad, a un colectivo, para que aporten estos materiales que están en el campo, que no están en una tienda, sino precisamente hay que colectarlos, hay que cuidarlos, para que puedan expresarse en una obra y después que tenga una segunda vida, es decir, como semilla, como alimento, como composta, para que ese círculo virtuoso del maíz, ese sistema, se renueva. Esa es la importancia de poder entender el maíz como nuestro material para hacer obras, pero también para generar un sistema de renovar la vida.
Alejandro is sharing that consequently they are alfombristas, like carpet masters, and the art they made is like an ephemeral art. They transform the nature of our environment into something artistic. They guide the community to contribute with these materials that are in the field, that they have collect them and then take care of them. And after that, they use it as art. And then this material has like a second life. And after all this process, they compost their materials. And yeah, finally, the corn generate works of art and renew like this cycle of life.
En consecuencia, para hacer estas alfombras como las que ustedes ven en las imágenes, es necesario el maíz criollo, es necesario el maíz de colores, las semillas que las personas que cultivan el campo aún defienden, aún cuidan de tenerlas y de que no se pierda solamente por el hecho de hacer más producción de maíz, sino aún cuidan que tengan el maíz rojo, el maíz sangre de Cristo, el maíz plisonado, el maíz amarillo, el maíz chucuyul, y eso como alfombrista nos permite generar todos estos matices, colores, texturas que forman a través de esta geometría fractal diferentes figuras y formas.
Alejandro is sharing that to make these carpets that you can see in the screen, it's necessary to preserve the Creole corn. As you can see, they use different types of colors, different varieties of corn. He's mentioning some types of corns, like the red corn, the corn plisonado. ¿Cómo puedes describir el maíz plisonado, Alejandro?
Como rayado, es decir, como la mezcla de dos colores.
Okay, so el maíz plisonado, it's like a stripped maize, like it has like different colors. And the people in the field take care of them and defend these days. So it's really important for them. And finally, all these like variety of colors and shapes they can have with this diversity allows them to generate shades and textures that forms through this like fractal geometry. Gracias, Alejandro.
Tu micrófono está apagado, Alejandro.
En consecuencia, el maíz en sus diferentes formas adquiere o tiene las posibilidades de generar un sinfín de expresiones. Por ejemplo, la caña del maíz o chinamite, como le llamamos, para hacer esta obra, que nos permite generar la anatomía, los pliegues de los vestidos, darle movimiento y poder expresar a través del mismo, de la misma caña, una expresión, una forma, que en este caso es San Lucas.
Alejandro is sharing that the corn acquires or has the possibility to generate an endless number of expressions. For example, here the cochinamite corn cane allows them to make this work and to generate like the anatomy of the folds. I don't know if you can see like how there are like a lot of texture in these images, and also allows them to like give the form to the dress and to give a lot of movement into this expression. And here is an image of San Lucas.
Para generar todos estas formas es necesario cuidar del maíz, es decir, solamente para cerrar esta parte, les contaré una anécdota de qué significa el maíz para nosotros. Yo buscaba semillas de colores para poder representar una figura y no encontraba la semilla de color, el maíz de color rojo. Y de pronto entré a una casa en el pueblo de mi mamá y buscando otra cosa, y resulta que tenían maíz rojo. Y yo le pedí a las personas que si me podían dar un poco de maíz. Una señora que me recibió dijo, antes que dárselo, le voy a consultar a toda mi familia. Llamó a sus hijos y dijo, el señor quiere comprar maíz rojo. ¿Me dan permiso de venderle el maíz rojo? Es para hacer una alfombra. Y tuve la fortuna de que me dieron su autorización, con todo respeto, para darme maíz. Es decir, esto difícilmente se compra, eso se otorga. Ese es el fundamento de nuestra cultura del maíz. Gracias.
And finally, Alex is sharing that to generate these forms, it is necessary to take care of the corn. And he shared an anecdote about when he was looking for colored seeds to represent a figure, he couldn't find red corn, and he went to a house located in his mother's town and saw red corn in the house, and he was like, oh, I this is the color I wanted. So he asked the family for some corn, and one of the members of the family went to consult the whole family before giving it to them. So this person asked the family, and they said, yes, we can give him some corn, we can sell it. And he is like finishing this anecdote that you don't buy like directly the corn, like as you go to a store or a shop, like you need like the authorization to get the material, the corn. Y tenemos unas preguntas que están compartiendo en el chat para ti, Alejandro. Una de ellas es, ¿dónde y cuándo se usan las piezas que realizas?
Nosotros en Huamantla, Tlaxcala, nuestra comunidad de origen, hacemos las alfombras inicialmente el mes de agosto, justo cuando los campos han florecido, cuando sabemos que va a haber cosecha porque las milpas han crecido, o inclusive si hubiese algún problema por sequía, por una helada, pedir que llegue el agua para nuestro campo. Justo en ese momento se hace la alfombra como una ofrenda y a partir de ahí, a lo largo del año, ahora tenemos la oportunidad de tener otro tipo de participación haciendo otras evoluciones o cambios a esta tradición original. Es decir, está conectado el usar el maíz con el tiempo y la manera en cómo obtenemos el alimento de la naturaleza.
So here in the chat, someone asked, where and when do you like create these pieces? And Alejandro is sharing that, well, he's from Huamantla, Tlaxcala. It's located in central Mexico. And they make these carpets in August when the corn is harvested and it's like blooming. The creation of the rugs, like it's more like a ritual. Sometimes they create this art like as an offering to ask water when there is like a dry season. And corn is also connected with the weather and how they obtain like their resources. Y Alejandro, hay otra pregunta más por acá que dice, ¿qué tipo de imágenes o temas abordas en tu obra?
En nuestra comunidad de origen es primero una ofrenda religiosa. La mayor parte de ese material lo utilizamos para generar algún tema de la iconografía católica. Y también como parte de la greca que acompaña esa imagen. Entonces, ese es el inicio. Actualmente tenemos el colectivo llamado Alfombristas Mexicanos, en donde hemos ido haciendo variaciones sobre el utilizar el maíz, haciendo otro tipo de obras. Algunas siguen siendo muy efímeras, en la cual utilizamos el olote, la milpa, la mazorca, y otras de carácter un poquito más permanente, como las que hacemos de hoja de maíz y que pueden quedar de manera más, con más duración. Por ejemplo, esta es una olotera. Sobre el concepto de olotera hicimos una alfombra y a partir de la geometría utilizamos esos materiales que tienen un carácter de más permanencia, pero siguen teniendo el espíritu de cuidar el maíz para poder hacer la obra, ¿no? Esto es una obra que se hizo para la intemperie, para exteriores, y pudo soportar las inclemencias del tiempo y del sol. Es decir, de ese inicio religioso, de ese inicio como una ofrenda, ahora exploramos cómo manifestarnos sin que pierda ese sentido a partir de la evolución de estas técnicas.
Gracias, Alejandro. Alex is sharing, well, there was this question, what kind of images or themes do you work in your in your work. And he responded, I use like religious offerings mostly to generate like a theme of Catholic iconography, and also as part of the greca that accompanies this image. And he has a collective called Alfombristas Mexicanos. These will be like Mexican carpenters. And they create like two types of work. One is like more ephemeral, and they use different types of like of the corn, like milpa or cob, or like the leaf. And for other type of work that are more like permanent, they are made to like resist the weather and the time. Here you're gonna be like one of the pieces he was describing. They use olote, that it's more like the dry maize, like the dry part of when the corn is like dry, and they use this type of material to create like a specific geometry in their art. Gracias, Alejandro.
Alex, something interesting that you named, it was the olotera. Someone in the public here in the United States asked about what is an olotera, and I don't know if people hear that, so it will be interesting to share with them what is an olotera, what's like the functionality, because it has its function. So would you like to share something about it?
Sí, la olotera es un círculo con estas cañas o ulotes, que es el corazón del maíz, que forman una estructura sólida, áspera, en la cual desgranamos la mazorca seca para obtener las semillas. Esto tiene que ser un proceso muy cuidadoso, manual, para que se conserve la pequeña patita que tiene la semilla y pueda funcionar como semilla para que vuelva a brotar la milpa. Nosotros retomamos ese concepto de lotera, que actualmente en comunidades vecinas como Ixtenco hacen unas bellísimas artesanales de ornato, y de alguna manera inspirados en este concepto, generamos una alfombra itinerante en donde concéntricamente esta olotera generó una greca con una milpa, con un colibrí, con el agroecosistema. Y es muy curioso porque la milpa, la olotera, significa la renovación, lo que acaba un ciclo para volverse nuevamente vida. Es decir, el olote que se desgranó vuelve a utilizarse para generar la nueva semilla que va a generar el nuevo ciclo agrícola.
Here, someone asked about what is an olotera, and Alex is sharing that the olotera is like a circle with these like canes that is like the heart of the corn. It's a solid and a rough structure, and they shock the dry cob to obtain the seeds, the corn seeds. It is like a really careful process for the seed to sprout again. So they need to be like really meticulous to do this part. And here you can see in the photos that they created like this itinerant carpet that is like explaining about this agro ecosystem. Here you can see a hummingbird and like all these types of color. And this is a very special way of transmitting this system, because they really take care of this part to obtain the seed that is going to give like a new life, like a new crop.
Gracias, muchas gracias, Alejandro. También y a todos, a Jessy, a Julieta, tenemos una pregunta para Jessy. ¿Cómo influye tu contexto cultural desde México y ahora en Estados Unidos en la creación de tus piezas? How does your cultural context from Mexico and now in United States have influed in your creation of your pieces, Jessy?
Pues, sinceramente, Mi Veracruz no es como conocido por las creaciones de hoja de maíz. Entonces no tengo como un previo conocimiento exacto de lo que tiene, de lo que es trabajar con la hoja de maíz. Por eso es que digo que no soy una experta, solo estoy, más que nada es el hecho de transmitir algo que sé que en mi país se hace, que yo nunca había tenido el conocimiento de, y me gustaría transmitirlo obvio, en este lugar que estoy, que es totalmente diferente, donde la gente no tiene mucho conocimiento de todo esto. Y, porque sí, pienso que es una tradición que debe, que al menos mi cultura, o sea, porque hasta la propia gente, mi propia gente de mi país no tenemos como mucho conocimiento. Entonces creo que es importante transmitirlo, darlo a conocer, aunque no sé mucho y aunque yo no vengo de una familia que se encarga de hacer manualidades de hoja de maíz, pero sé que se trabaja en eso, sé que existe pueblos que están basados en su economía en todo esto. O sea, tengo ese conocimiento, más nunca he estado en algún lugar, ni vengo de ese tipo de raíces. Pero sin embargo me gustaría empezar a transmitirlas, lo poco que tengo conocimiento.
Muchas gracias, Jessie. So the question was, yeah, well, the answer from these questions was, from Jessie, was that, well, she doesn't come from a traditional corn husk makers, or figures makers. So she really doesn't have that heritage, but although we have that heritage from our country. So she knows that in Mexico, people, like, there are towns that their economy is based on the production of these corn husk figures. So whatever she knows now, she would like to translate pass through the new generation. So she's happy to pass this technique in this country that there is less people that knows about it. So she's happy to share about it. Gracias, Jessie. Y bueno, un comentario para Julieta. El vestido, la corona, la producción, la fotografía, todo es fabuloso. Me gustaría compartir una pequeña sección del video que Julieta nos tiene en YouTube. Y si quieren verlo completo, les ponemos el link en el chat. I would like to share a small part of a video of Julieta that is from a museum es un museo, ¿verdad, Julieta? En Filadelfia.
De Filadelfia.
Okay, this is a part of a show, fashion show in a museum in Philadelphia that she had, and you could see her amazing some of her pieces. But if you would like to see the complete video, we will share in the chat. So let's share here. 1 second. ¿Dónde está? Ay, perdón. Ya lo tenía, se me perdió. Disculpen. 1 second, 1 second. Ah, aquí ya lo tengo. This is just one part of the video. I would like you to see. Can you see my screen? ¿Sí?
Sí,
Yes.
sí, Gaby. Nos quedamos speechless, Gaby. We are without words. This is so beautiful.
It's really so amazing. This is just incredible. I love it. You so nice. Yeah, standing ovation. Wonderful.
Gracias.
Oh, and everyone looks so happy. It's really exciting. It's so beautiful.
Sí, esta colección está inspirada en los diferentes elementos de la cultura, de mi cultura mexicana, de la cual estoy muy orgullosa. Entonces,
Felicidades, Julieta.
¿pueden ver el video completo?
Yeah, this collection, Julieta said, is inspired on my roots. And if you want to see the complete video, we are going to share here on the chat. It's amazing. You have to see it. ¿Esto cuándo fue, Julieta, cuando tuviste esta presentación?
Fue el Día de los Muertos el año pasado.
This presentation was last year in the Day of the Dead. Vamos a ver, bueno, hay comentarios que dice muy bonito, impresionante, increíble. Hay una pregunta para Alejandro. ¿Cómo el cambio generacional impacta al alfombrismo mexicano?
Creo que impacta en un sentido de que entre más recientes son las generaciones, menos se entiende el por qué hacemos las cosas. El por qué usamos maíz, el por qué hay que cultivar el campo, el por qué ese conocimiento que tienen los campesinos, las personas, nuestros ancestros, va perdiendo sentido para las nuevas generaciones. En consecuencia, creo que quienes somos portadores de una tradición, o como en el caso de Yesica y de Julieta, que experimentan con el maíz, lo expresan como parte de su identidad, de su forma artística. Creo que es importante hacer llegar a estas nuevas generaciones el por qué lo hacemos, no para qué lo hacemos, el por qué lo hacemos de manera muy profunda, porque estamos conectados a nuestra identidad, porque está relacionado a nuestro medio ambiente, porque representa una oportunidad para enfrentar estos retos que tenemos, como ahora que estamos en una época muy difícil de pandemia, que tenemos un reto como de dar de comer a millones y millones de personas maíz, pero también al mismo tiempo de tener un equilibrio en nuestro medio. Y creo que en ese sentido hay una responsabilidad de transmitir este conocimiento a las nuevas generaciones. Y no solamente quedarnos como espectadores viendo que las tradiciones se van diluyendo, se van perdiendo. Me genera muchísima esperanza y me pone muy feliz personas jóvenes como Yesica y como Julieta que encuentran en el maíz una razón de expresarse.
Gracias.
Alejandro, ¿no lo pudiste haber dicho mejor? At the Consulado of Mexico, Milwaukee, we believe exactly as you mentioned. This is why we support all the work the diaspora mexicana is doing outside of Mexico, mainly here in the United States and here in Wisconsin. And this is why we have been supporting Gabriela through her colectivo, Folk Art Collective, and Mexican artists in Mexico and abroad. So this is the reason today we are doing This is Maiz. So thank you for joining us, Alejandro. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Alejandro. Andrea, ¿quisieras traducir a Alejandro para que las personas que hablan inglés nos...
Sí, voy a hacerlo mejor. Muy lindo en español, Alejandro. So the question for Alejandro was, how does the generational change impact the Mexican carpet like industry or craft? He thinks it impacts in a sense that the more recent generations are less like understanding why we do these things, why we use corn and cultivate the field, also why the knowledge of farmers is losing meaning. So he's saying that we are bearers, we express our identity with our work, and it is important to our environment, to our culture, and it's also an opportunity to face global challenges like the pandemic. We have a big challenge to feed millions of people with corn, but also we have the challenge to give a balance in our environment. So there is a big responsibility to give this knowledge to new generations. And he is really happy and joyful that artists like Julieta and Jessie are working with corn to express their identity and the importance of corn. Gracias, Alejandro.
Muchas gracias a los tres. Muchas gracias, Andrea, por apoyar en la traducción. Bueno, con esto cerramos el programa de This is Maiz. This was the conversation, This is Maiz. We are very happy to bring about this topic to you. And this is the first time we join food, healthy food, food justice with the art. And we are very happy to make this collaboration with Driftless Curiosity, Joy Miller that is here, with the McIntosh Library, and the Consulate of Mexico in Milwaukee. We are Mexican Folk Art Collective again. You can visit us in www.folkartcollective.com. You can see more about the work of this artist. And there is the video of Julieta already. They have their profile in the collective. And you can see more about their art and being in contact with them. And of course, my name is Gabriela Marvan. I'm happy to bring this program to you. Thank you very much.
And Gabi, to everyone, just stay tuned because we are going to celebrate the second annual Day of the Dead in the region of the Driftless area. The first one last year was a huge success. More than 400 people arrived to Joy and Rufus' property. That is beautiful farm. And we would like to welcome all of you. So stay tuned, and the activities that Folk Art Collective is working in collaboration with the Viroqua Public Library, Driftless Collectives, and too many other friends that I just can't wait to join us this year as well. Y el Consulado de México en Milwaukee.
Muchas gracias. Sí, we are going to have the Day of the Dead. Officially here is the date is October 8th. Put on your calendar, save the date. It's gonna be Saturday, October 8th, 1 to 7 at Kewadings Farms in Biola, Wisconsin. Any information, you can call 608-475-3687 or write to info@driftlesscuriosity.org or through our website, folkartcollective.com in events tab. Thank you, Joy and Lacey. Would you like to add something else?
Thank you. Go ahead, Joy.
Oh yeah, sure. I just wanted to say thank you. This has been a fascinating presentation. I love the collaboration that this community puts together. It's just really informative and inspiring, and I'm just super grateful. So thank you guys.
Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you all so much. We love to learn, lifelong learners. We love your art. We very much appreciate all that you're doing to make healthy food possible for all people to eat. Thank you all so much for joining us. Save the date, October 8th, Dia de los Muertos. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alejandro is saying that he wants to say something.
Oh yeah. Please.
Alejandro.
Solo agradecer al colectivo, a Mexican Folk Art, a todas las personas en Milwaukee que nos dan la oportunidad de expresarnos, al consulado, al colectivo de alfombristas mexicanos, y nombrar a tres familias que nos están viendo en el Facebook: la familia Juárez de Tepetlasco, la familia Picasso de Tlaxcala, la familia Hernández Mendoza de Huamantla, que nos proporcionan lo necesario, que trabajan en el campo y que nos proporcionan lo necesario para hacer las alfombras. Y finalmente a mi familia y en especial a mi hermana Laura, que es la ingeniera de la hoja de maíz y que ha desarrollado muchísimas formas que ustedes han visto en las imágenes. Y gracias a todos.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Muchas gracias. Okay. Okay. And ciao, everyone. Have a great day. Goodbye. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Bye.
I'm going to stay on screen.